Hi, this is Melissa, and I'm reading my first blog post on my WordPress where I'm starting to rewrite my book. And so this is the first thing that I've written over the last couple of days, September 1st, 2020. Title is My Interior. And this is at the light is in the tunnel.wordpress.com. Titled, the whole thing is entitled Identity Madness. All right, the light is in the tunnel. I thought the reunion with my mother and father, birth mother and father, was going to fill the holes that were left when they left me at LA County Adoptions Bureau. I thought reunion was the answer to the pain that caused me to hit my thighs so hard in anger in high school that I walked around bruised. My mother would re-abandon me twice more, 3 times total, the first at 6 months old. My father would refuse to meet me due to a lot of pressure from his wife. My paternal half-brother would come on to me sexually. He and his wife and my mother would laugh in my face. Our birth mother, when I had to stop his advances by telling my then husband. I would lose relationship with my mother. It would never be the same. And again, this is my birth mother, but I call her my mother. I call my birth father my father because they are my only father and mother. She told her entire family, this would be my mother, my blood family, my tribe, an untrue Far Worse story, which was thrown into my face by a blood cousin in 2018. It's how I found out that she was actually spreading vicious lies about me. Pure malice. Who does this to their child? One of the 3 that she adopted out within 5 years, all with different fathers. My fake fairy tale adopted family would be the best 17 years I would have up until 2019, age 54. The light I was searching for was not in reunion, but in heartbreaking pain I had never imagined possible. A tunnel not of love but of wounds, some that stay fresh and deep each day, like my father refusing to meet me. This trauma is new every day. It's a mercy that has begun to reform who I am as a human, as a spirit, a soul on this earth. Everything begins to change once you begin to understand that there's a gift inside the tear that harmed with whatever folly and unintended consequences it had due to youth. The youth of my mother and father, the circumstances that millions end up in adopting their baby out, the light at the end of the tunnel is there, and it likely won't be the light you were searching for at all. If you think my story is cut and dry and that you figured it out, I can tell you with certainty you have not. These words are meant to bring change and understanding to the culture of adoption in America from an adoptee. The good, the bad, and the ugly must be presented for wisdom to come to future adopters and to help other adoptees heal. If I can save you wasting 23 years as of 2020 for me personally, to hear your father say, I'm on a plane to come meet you, that will never happen. I shall. This is my destiny. If the adoption triad can collectively put aside their agendas and shoulder chips for the furtherance of crucial information on reunion disasters to raise awareness, then the growth of this culture will take another 100 years. I should have said, then the growth of this culture will not take another 100 years. I still have to edit this. So, since this thought is as likely as Democrats and Republicans dancing in the streets arm in arm, we will just have to publish our stories and take down the fairy tale adoption story one by one. The mature will press in and solidify. The damaged and brutally mentally ill will continue in their violent adoption screams and inabilities to form a true healthy platform where all sides of reunion can flourish and be heard. Pictured here is my mother holding me, Dana, my name was Dana, is Dana, and her friend Carol. Since there were no selfies, my father's brother Gary is holding me, and my mom again. This was Los Angeles, 1966, near Echo Park, I believe. Gary and Carol were going to adopt me, so was my older maternal half-brother's adoptive family, but both never happened. I ended up in foster care and then adopted at age 10 months old to a family in Santa Clarita, California, formerly known as Newhall, to an LA County Sheriff detective and his homemaker wife, who would lie to my face about my identity, even changing my personal heritage. All right, the truths laid out are not meant to harm adoptive or birth parents or adoptees for that matter. They are the truths that I had to face so that I could put in proper perspective as the follies these truths were housed in. The good and the bad must be published for change to come. Again, I hit my thighs so terribly in high school that, as I said, they bruised, and my classmates were asking me how it happened or what was wrong. I had internalized anger inside of me for a very long time about my adoption and the lies my adopters told me, even though they weren't fussing up that they were lying. I mean, I could totally feel it. They caused me to search 14 long years without the internet for my birth mother when they had all the information the entire time. And I knew they did. Not all adoptees have such struggles in life with identity, but many of us do. This writing is to hopefully save many adoptees from wasting most of their life believing in reunions that may never take place, not to take away from the beautiful reunions many have had. There are two sides to the coin, and the rusty sides of the coin must be photographed and published for change. I had behaviors that were destroying my relationships due to the trauma not only of my adoption, but the abuse my first husband inflicted on me for 14 years, and the abuse of the religious system of man as well. I'm attempting to break down the major traumas in my life and write about them specifically. That's what I'm going to be doing next here as I continue to map out and find my way to peace. This is a work in progress. I will be writing in this document frequently. After erasing many years of journaling, and I mean like 14 years of it, I'm in the most secure place I've ever been to begin writing with some sort of balance, way better balance than 23 years ago. My heart is not a robber. I wrote this the other night. The waves simply cannot be divided. You can stand there in the midst of their power. You can scream, but they will not hear. Your arms and entire body are not large enough to separate their majesty. They collapse as they crash together, swirling, twirling into the vastness, only to come up again as a new strong sea wave, whose partial purpose may be purely just to console the tired soul with its sounds as they try to sleep at night. My heart wants what my soul bleeds. It bleeds with a love that cannot be given. And when you can't love your mother and father, what do? When you can't smell them, feel them, hold their hand, my heart is not a robber. Loving and wanting to be loved is not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. No detective needs to write a report or arrest any girl. The robbery occurred at the conception when the two young lovers loved. The robbery occurred when one parent and the law intervened in the course of teenage and 20-something course of inter. How do you separate love? Mine was perfectly. No crime, yet the prison came right down from heaven above and landed on top of 3 individuals. The Ark of the Covenant of Love, trashed by the circumstances of young love, young lives, embittered times. The pure blood of my father and mother lies like honey deep inside of my veins, the comb of life. Inside my body, it spills over onto the ground. It has nowhere to go, no give and take, No similar noses, no enchanting look-alike laughter, no lifeblood for me to smell or touch or hear. The force of the love gasps for air each moment and then goes back under, searching for ways to be a part of the tribe. The tribe of her family, the bloodline of her family, the people of her family that all walked away and turned their backs. The casualty of love, the casualties of their love, my entire existence. My soul is not criminal. No crime but love occurred. I will not be told any longer that I am doing something wrong or criminal by searching for my mother and father. For far too long, I have let them make me feel as if I've done something wrong, criminal, by searching. By surfing, how can you pull out the connections between mothers and fathers and daughters? How can you remove the spirit between their souls, however convoluted the triangles are? What you seek will be found as the gift shows itself over the years. You bear it up on your own wings, and then you give it away. The gift of the massive pain will metamorphose into your life, packaged, though, in dried blood. She bears it up on her own wings and then gives it away. There is no wonder in the simple wonder of a child seeking her mother and father. Okay, there is no wonder. I might have to rewrite that. I've decided that it's a battle I'm not going to fight any longer. I will not fight feeling that I need to find them. I will not fight feeling that I need to find them. I gotta rewrite this. I will not fight the feeling that I need to return to them. Okay, that's better. The facts are that these are the facts, and fighting against pure nature and nurture has got to be significantly risky and mentally inappropriate. It just doesn't make sense to tell people, oh, you need to stop searching, when it's in their DNA to search. What baby whale will you whisk away and not want to bear the cry of both the baby whale and the mother whale? Soundless or not, the cries simply send human sonar. It's not possible to stop it. It's ineffectual to turn it into go north when all it wants to do is be swimming south from whence it came. Yeah, I gotta rewrite all of this. Looking and searching for similarity. I've beat myself up for over 23 years, actually much longer. 97 is when I found my father, 96 my mother. My father has never met me. I spent 23 years longing to meet him and only met resistance, mostly from his wife and daughter. He never has stood up to their pressure to ever meet me. Yet, for quite a few years, I dug such deep trenches trying to understand why, trying to communicate so that I could meet him. It was a battle that I would never win. This last year, I came to some peace about the whole tiring ordeal. Yet, I'm not going to stop wishing and wondering because it's my nature. I can be at peace, yet still not crush myself because others think the losing fight is pointless. As pointless as it still is a part of my psyche, part of the soul and spirit that I am, that is connected to them. So I will never again get down on myself or let others bully me because the longing manifests still today. And it'll last until the day I die. It's just a natural part of humans. Is it okay to cry and be emotional and continue to want to be a part of the people who all look like you? It is okay. What's the inflection there? No more apologies. Not to myself, not to anyone, especially not to myself. No more fighting against and apologizing for nature. No more snuffing out the light in my soul that simply needs to enter and hold on to someone in my tribe. Never apologize for what nature intended. Never retreat with silent stories. I will not let another uninformed relative punisher destroy the nurture that flows through my dreams. If I keep close the only things I can, dreams, then they will be the rings on my fingers and the wreaths I wear around my neck. I'm good with just dreaming. I'm good with just the pictures. I'm good with the sometimes nagging madness that cries me to sleep. I'm good with the serious instability of the love in my heart that has been held at the gate. There are no codes to get in. The guards are at the door. The bridge has been pulled up. The drawbridge. So sitting on the side of the sea after many years, we sight the boat, that little boat we've been waiting for but didn't know we were even waiting for it. The gift in the sea of life. The answers inside the unanswered sketches. The love that unstrangles the veins around my heart. The captain of the sea of love. The relative punishers were pummeled with liquid silence from one source, from my mother, on one side, from my father's wife on the other. Instructed by the tribe to tell her, we're a private family, except that it's my family. Lies, brutal lies told to turn the action of the abandoners to a false negative action done by the adoptee. I think that's correct. False negative action. Violence of the human soul, as terrifying as anything you can imagine, shot like a mortar into your very breath, breaking you apart in many pieces psychologically, yet you are held together with the sinews, the connective tissues of your body, the body of your psychosis. For most of my life, this was my reality. All right, the privateers, that's what I call my blood family members because they claim to be so private and whatever. Adapted into a new existence, led by the parent who left the baby or led by the mate of the parent who left, adopted, abandoned said baby. These privateers, again, blood relatives, they seem to protect my father's active abandonment. Again, that word abandonment is just a word that I had to grasp to move through feeling what I need to feel. I know that not all adoptions are pure abandonment, but it's just a term that I use right now. So these privateers, they seem to protect my father's active abandonment, his fleeing of the law in California, my mother's side, same thing. They protect her act of adopting me out with vicious tales about me, the adoptee. So each relative I tried to speak to, is since 96, except for the first year. I did talk to my father and his second daughter. I'm his first daughter for a year, and then that all broke apart. And I had talked to my mother for a long time, for a year with her, and then it broke apart. And there's reasons that happened. So anyways, so this is after that, when I tried to speak to people and repair things and figure out how to fix this just extremely damaging reunion. No one at all was prepared. Not one person in all of the relationships was prepared. No one knew what to do. There's no books, especially when your half-sister never knew about you. And yeah, it's a sociological, cultural, painful phenomenon that I have to know more about. So basically, where I am at now is I need to know what happened, why it happened, why people act the way that they do, why huge tribes of people and huge tribes of religious people, even, that's another whole story, just turn their back and like just yeah, it's extremely painful. So now I'm into rewriting my book and researching, doing some sociological and psychological research so that I can understand what happened to me. And in that understanding, I can free up some of the pain that I have, because humans are humans. And right now, a lot of what I still feel is, wow, you just took a knife and wounded me on purpose. But really, it's about sociology and psychology. And if we can understand that more, then we can bear our pain a little better. So there's no entrance points into some biological families. It's become a fascination now to me to find out what the hell is going on psychotically. Psychotically, with these blood tribes, in the midst of the waning pain, I seek answers, resolutions, gifts to move on with my life and to help others. So this is an excerpt from Cyrus Rudy. It's called The Anxious Kinship of the Vanishing Adoptee. I was looking for one specific thing and found this, which is fascinating, even though I don't understand exactly everything that it's saying. It is deep and rich, and I'm going to dig into it more. So his abstract, this is just an excerpt. And I did cite it on my blog. It says, the core question of this essay is whether adoption and adoptees still exist. Why he even asked that question, I really don't know. But anyways, it's his perspective. So going on, I approached this puzzle by exploring what adoptee kinship might entail, since the quote-unquote post-kinship affiliation replaced traditional blood tie affiliation with the liberal discourse of universal love. Adoptee alienation persists despite the removal of the biological kinship, as the formulation that long held adoptees as partial and suspect members of family and society. Imagining non-biocentric intra-adoptee kinship is a horizontal way to examine the seemingly anachronistic adoptee anxiety by interrogating the specific experience of subjective liminality imposed by the liberal adoption regime. Okay, take a breath. My study makes 4 cumulative braided observations in support of an overarching argument that the post-biogenetic, which I don't even know what that means, normativity of progressive families and enlightened societies reinscribes and reinforces adoptees' subjectivities of anxious belonging. Boy, that defines me right there. Anxious belonging. But I would go so much deeper and find deeper, harder, bloodier words. But that works, anxious belonging. First, the adoption regime combines explicit inclusion and implicit exclusion of genetic others. In a discourse I call flesh and blood liberalism. Second, only adoptees perceive that the liberal love that disavows old biological kinship entails new biocentric fidelities, to DNA tracking, family physicality, and biopolitical fitness that still code adoptees as genetic suspects, and don't understand a lot of this. Third, the love metaphor that represents its biological supplements compels adoptees to internalize individually the disavowed and silenced contradictions of biopolitical liberalism, whereas other subaltern groups collectively externalize the acknowledged social contradiction of racism, sexism, and so on. Okay, so this guy is very smart. Fourth, seen as a regime of evolving repressive biocentric liberalism, adoption produces neurotic liminal subjects through a generalized suspicion at one At once privately felt and publicly denied. Wow, that's huge. Oh, this video is going to stop. Let me continue.